Forget smile. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and live. Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İngiltere'nin en iyi üniversitelerinden University of York'ta Eğitim ve Yaşam'ı Sam'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Sam, the stage is yours now.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming today. It's a pleasure to see you all here. My name's Sam, and I'm a regional manager here at the University of York. So basically, my job is to look after students who are applying from across the Middle East, North Africa, and Turkey. And we have a good student community here of Turkish people. We've got about 50 students currently enrolled. But what we can see is that more and more Turkish students are deciding to come to York each year. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you a presentation, and it's going to cover such things like some of the key facts about the university, some reasons why students might choose to come and study at York. But what I really want to focus on is the student experience. So that is, what is it like to live on campus? What can you do? What type of accommodation would you be living in? That type of thing. But also, what's it like to be a student in the city of York? Okay, I think they're the hardest things that you'll find information on the website. Things like rankings and awards and course information is all really easy to find. But getting a sense of what it's like to be here is more difficult. So hopefully I can share that with you today. And I'm going to share my screen now so that you can see the presentation. Bear with me one moment whilst I do that. Okay. Zeynep, can you just confirm that you can see the presentation now, please?
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to start with a few key facts about the university. So we are a Russell Group university, and in case you don't know what that means, basically the Russell Group is the most prestigious group of universities in the UK, and it can be compared to the Ivy League in the States. So there's 24 Russell Group universities, and all of us are really highly ranked. We're high-performing universities, and when an international employer sees our branding on your degree certificate, it holds a lot of weight. So we've got a really good reputation around the world. And that's because we do a lot of research which impacts lives around the world. So we've got 11 now subjects that are ranked top 10 in the UK. And that includes things like chemistry, biology, psychology, history, English, archaeology, and many more. Overall, though, our overall ranking at the moment is 18th in the Complete University Guide. So we've got a student community of about 20,500, and they live on campus, which is just next to the city centre. It's a 500-acre stunning parkland campus. So it's a really nice place to live and learn. And the city itself, which is within walking distance, has been voted the best place to live on a number of occasions by the Times, who also do the higher education rankings. 27% of those students come from outside of the UK. And in fact, at postgraduate level, over half of our students are international. They come from more than 150 different countries around the world. 94% of our graduates are in employment or further studies within 6 months of graduating. So in fact, we've got an excellent careers and placements team who will help you write CVs, practice interviews, look for jobs, find internships and placements, all of those things. And that service is growing ever more popular now because of the introduction of the postgraduate visa, which gives you 2 years to stay here and work full-time in the UK. We've also got 100 scholarship awards to give away for this next intake. So that's September 2022. The award amounts vary, anything between £2,000 to £20,000, depending on what level of study you're applying for, and also the strength of your application compared to competitors. I'll talk more about the scholarships a bit later on. Another achievement of the university this year is that we've been shortlisted for University of the Year. And that's a really, really big award. It's like the Oscars of the universities here in the UK. And the reason that we've been nominated as University of the Year is because of the outstanding support that we've provided to our students in response to the COVID pandemic. For example, we've often been the first university to act and make decisions on things like paying for people's quarantine accommodation if they're coming from a red list country, that kind of thing. So the final announcement of the winner will be in November, so fingers crossed for that. What I want to show you here is basically the departments within the university so that you get an idea of what you can study with us. So we split them into faculties. We've got the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, Sciences, and then Social Sciences. So listed below them, you can see the academic department. These are department titles, not course titles, but the ones with a star next to them are those with a top 10 subject in them. So biology, we have top 10 subjects in biology and chemistry, history, archaeology, psychology, English, social policy and social work, all of those really, really well regarded at the University of York. So first thing that I want to touch on about the campus is the location. So if you are staying on campus, you will be just outside the city centre, and York City is located in the north of England, but the north of England is actually the centre of the UK because the border's about here. So it's good because you can easily access all of these other major cities. And of course, if you're going to come all the way to the UK and live here for a while, I would hope that you get the chance to explore those. So Leeds is our nearest major industrial city, and that's about 20 minutes away on the train. Manchester Airport is the nearest major international airport, and that's where I always fly to with Turkish Airlines. It's very convenient because there's a train station within the airport itself that goes straight to York without any changes. And then you can get to London in 1 hour, 50 minutes. There's actually a fast train with 0 stops, and that's how it makes it so quickly. So really well located. And if you were to look at York on the map, this red outline here, well, that's the city. And why I'm showing you this is because Heslington is this part, if you can see my mouse. Heslington is the university campus. And these 2 blue bits are the lakes, which all of our buildings are built around. It's very pretty. And this blue icon here is where I used to live, right in the city centre. And I'm showing you this because I used to walk from my house onto the campus and back every single day. So it's very, very easy in terms of access to the city centre. And when you get on campus, this is what it looks like. This is Campus East. So we've got Campus East and Campus West. It's split into 2 because it's so big. Basically, it's 500 acres of stunning parkland. So you'll live and learn surrounded by nature and wildlife. This is the Roncook Hub here, and it's one of the main buildings on Campus East. It looks out onto the beautiful countryside, and behind this building, you've got the road which takes you into the city centre. On this campus, we teach things like law, computer science. We have the foundation programs and the pre-sessional English courses, and many more. And then over on Campus West, this is what it looks like there. Similar thing. And you can think of this as a proper student village. So you've got everything that you need on your doorstep, from supermarkets, there's a doctor's GP. Instead of having one student union, we have several different restaurants, cafes, social areas for students to hang out in. And there's 24-hour security as well. And on the campus, spread across both Campus East and Campus West, are our 10 colleges. Now, the colleges are important for us because it breaks our student community down from 20,000 to much smaller, manageable sizes, meaning that we can give you that excellent service and student support. So there are 10 colleges, and when you pick an accommodation, you will automatically become a member of a college. It does not really matter which college you become a member of because they all offer a similar service. As well as giving you student support for things like mental health, if you're homesick and you need to talk to a mentor, that type of thing. It also organises social events for you throughout the year, including, importantly, those within Welcome Week, when you're going to be mixing with and meeting everybody else. And I'm going to show you a quick video on this just to explain in a bit more detail how our colleges work, because it is quite unique for the UK. And I'm hoping the audio is going to work, but Zainab, if it doesn't, please jump in and let me know. Okay.
Choosing York doesn't just mean studying here. It also means becoming a part of a friendly, inclusive and diverse community. York accommodation is based around our colleges, including Wentworth, our dedicated postgraduate college. You'll be a member of your college throughout your time at York, offering you much more than just somewhere to live. You'll become part of a vibrant college community, and there's help on hand if you need it. Staff in colleges can be your first point of contact if you need any extra support, and all undergraduates are paired up with a third or second year student contact to help them settle in. All our accommodation is close to everything on campus, meaning not only is uni life on your doorstep, but you're surrounded by everything you need, from green spaces and catering facilities to study spaces in the library. It's also easy to travel across campus, whether you choose to walk, catch the free shuttle bus, use one of the campus e-scooters, or cycle. And all our accommodation has plenty of cycle storage. We make sure your stay here is safe, secure, and hassle-free. We provide a dedicated team to manage your stay and help to assist with everyday issues such as maintenance. Some of the other perks of choosing to stay with us include free Wi-Fi and wired internet to every room, 24/7 security, contents insurance, and regular cleaning. With all our accommodation, bills are included, making it easier to keep track of your finances. The cost of rooms varies to suit people's budgets, and you can choose from a variety of rooms, let lengths, and whether you would like meals to be included. Whether we're your firm or insurance choice, you're guaranteed an offer of a room in accommodation owned, managed, or approved by the university if you apply for accommodation by the deadline. There's a real sense of community in our colleges, and we hope you feel at home from day one. Choosing your
Excellent. Well, I hope you had the audio there. Right, what I'm going to show you next is the accommodation on a virtual tour. So you've seen some shots of it in that video, but it used to be quite popular for students to come to campus and take a tour themselves. And of course, it's not so anymore. Anyway, it's not very cost effective to come to the universities just to have a look at the accommodation and the campus. So we've done our best to bring it to you. And I'm going to show you now how you can do that. I'll show you an example of a room. So on the website, you can either browse by price or browse by college. And if you browse by college, you can look at them all and you can view different options, such as a room with an ensuite bathroom or a room with a shared bathroom, which would be cheaper. I'm going to show you Constantine College, and I'm going to show you an ensuite room. And this is an example of a very standard university room, so a kind of mid-priced one. So as you can see, the university rooms are a decent size. They're not huge, but you can have a bigger one if you've got a bigger budget. And it's very common for a university room with a bathroom for it to be a small shower room like this. This is what you get at most universities. And on this virtual tour, when you're looking around all the different college and the different room options, you can actually explore most of the building, and you can see where the students would hang out on an evening in the kitchen area, for example. So as you can see, there's plenty of cupboard space, plenty of fridge freezers, and this will be cleaned by one of the staff cleaners, probably once every week. So it's like a long hotel corridor with everyone's separate rooms coming off it, and then a main communal area at the bottom. And it will tell you, depending on which one you look at, how many people would be living in that. So this is an example of York accommodation. So as well as accommodation and the types of subjects, things like that, obviously, you're going to want to know what you're going to do outside of study time. What's student life going to be like? And on campus, we've got lots of activities for you to get involved with. In fact, there's over 200 student societies. So I'm going to show you a few examples of things that you could take part in. And it doesn't matter what you're studying, you can get involved in these no matter what. So the first one is the radio station. This is an award-winning radio station. And in fact, it's the first ever legal independent radio station in the country. And the first DJ to DJ this radio station was Sir John Peel. And if you don't know who that is, He's probably one of the biggest UK music icons to come out of the country. He's massive. So do some Googling on John Peel if you're into music and you don't know who he is. There's also a TV channel which operates outside, on the campus, but it broadcasts. So it's a proper channel that you can get involved in, and you could get involved in writing, producing, camera work, presenting, all of those things, and you don't have to be studying film and television. These facilities are on campus. If you're a musician, maybe you're not studying music, but you still want to keep practice up, you could do one of our workshops, our masterclasses. These are free. You can also hire rehearsal space out for free as well. And we teach various instruments and vocals too. If you're more into things like physics and astrophysics, there's actually an observatory on campus. We call it our little Astro Campus, and that's available for students to use. We also open it to the public once every 2 weeks, so you can come as an individual or with a group as well. But if you want to practice your languages, then you could take up another language, or you could better a language that you already speak, and you can even earn credits for that. So this is free so long as you choose it as a credit bearing module, but beware if you do that you do have to pass it. You don't want to fail on your certificate. But this is another option for you to do. There's various European languages you can take and wider languages such as Chinese and things like Latin as well. And there's various different dance classes you can join, from ballet, tap, jazz, modern. Some of them are taught by professionals and some of them are taught by advanced students. And there's also 2 big sports centres on campus. We've got an indoor sports centre with things like an Olympic-sized swimming pool, steam room, jacuzzi, sauna, and then an outdoor one with things like the track and field, which you may have seen on the aerial shots of the accommodation. But finally, if you're just feeling a bit lazy, but you still want to socialise, you could come along to one of our cinema viewings. So we have 3 cinema viewings per week on campus, and they show things ranging from big blockbuster hits to documentaries or cult movies. So that's a few things that you might want to get involved in on campus outside of your study time. And undergraduate studies, I mean, there's lots of opportunity to get involved in those. When you're studying a master's course, it's obviously a bit more intensive and you'll have less free time. In terms of the campus life, I just want to recap on these few points with you, okay? So it's within walking distance to the city centre. It's a 500-acre parkland campus surrounded by nature and wildlife. There's 10 colleges to choose from in terms of living. There's over 200 student societies that you can join, including different things for media, politics, the arts, and there's 2 state-of-the-art sports centres as well. There's also lots of casual work opportunities. So as an undergraduate student, you can work up to 20 hours a week whilst you're studying and full-time during the holidays. And as a postgraduate student, you can work up to 20 hours per week only. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about getting from the campus into the city centre. I've mentioned that you can walk, and that's fine, but if you're on certain parts of the campus, it might be a bit far. So what we've got is lots of these electric scooters available for students to pick up, and there's also electric bikes now. It is common for you to get a bike, and they do bike auctions for second-hand bikes on campus too. But all you do for these is you go up to them, you download an app, you swipe that across the top of the scooter. You can take it across the campus for free, which is really handy because it is big. Or you can take it into the city centre from as little as 75 pence. You can leave them in the city centre if you want to. There are certain stations where we ask you to leave them, and then they get collected and they get charged by some of the tier staff. But once you reach the city centre, you'll start to see some of the historic architecture which makes York such a popular tourist destination. So York, as I've mentioned, is not a big industrial city like Leeds, which is 20 minutes away on the train, but it's more of a tourist hotspot. And we attract about 7 million tourists to our city centre each year. And lots of them come to look at the architecture, but also to enjoy the stories of the history, because York predates the Vikings. It was once considered the old capital of England. And you can really see that in all of the buildings. It's protected by this big old medieval wall. And at certain points around that wall, you've got gates that look like this. And as you pass through those gates, you'll see streets like this. This is an area called the Shambles. These are some of the oldest streets in Europe. This is why York is the most traditional English city in the country. And this is why a lot of the city centre is protected. So we do have the big shopping malls and things like that, designer outlets, but they're on the outside of the city as to preserve all of this. And a lot of these businesses down these streets are independent boutique businesses. There's lots of international bars, cafes and restaurants. You get all the nice aromas from those as you're walking through. And there's also lots of live music in the streets and performing arts too. This is an area in the city centre called Spark. I like to show this because it's set up by a York graduate. And basically it's stacks of steel containers on top of each other. And if you were setting up a new business as a fresh graduate, you didn't have much money to start with, so you can't afford city centre rent. You would take your business to one of these steel containers. There's lots of restaurants operating from these. And it's a great way to get into the city in an affordable way. So you might sit at one of these tables as a student, download an app, and you can order from lots of different restaurants and have them bring it to your table. There's also a really great nightlife in York. The good thing about it being a small city is that these venues are quite close to each other. And also, York is the safest university city in the country, according to a Complete University Guide survey. So the Complete University Guide did a survey of crimes across the country, and crimes which are likely to affect students happen least in York. And you really can feel the difference. I've lived in many cities across the UK, and you can feel the difference. That I've never been in York and worried for my safety at all. York has also been voted the best place to live in the UK on a number of occasions by the Times. And then there are surrounding areas with lots to offer too. So this is a place called Whitby. It's less than an hour away from York. And it's like a seaside version of York. Very historic, very famous. This is where Captain Cook used to sail his whalers from. And it's also where Bram Stoker was inspired to write the novel Dracula from. So Dracula's grave is apparently up here on the cliff edge. And because of its connotations with Dracula, they started to put on themed weekends. So if you go on a particular weekend to Whitby, you'll see hundreds of people walking around the streets dressed like this. So both York and some of its surrounding areas feel very much like you're walking around an old English story. There's Harry Potter shops and things like that, lots of ghost walks. It's a quirky place full of character. It's not a brand new, shiny, cosmopolitan city with big skyscraper buildings. That's not what York is, but that is close by. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a sense of the place. Now what I want to do is talk to you about how you might go about looking for a course at the university. So the best way to do this is to look from the homepage of the website. So I'm going to take you to the homepage now. And can you still see my screen, Zainab?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So from the homepage of the website, what you want to do is use this dark blue box here. This is the course search function. So let's say you're applying for, I don't know, a master's in law, an LLM. So you would type law or LLM, just any keyword, and it would bring you up with all of the postgraduate options because you've selected postgraduate. Then you can look through the course titles. You can read the course information by clicking on one. And these tabs, these are the important ones here. These have got such important information in them. Things like the course content. These are the modules that you'll learn within the course. Now, two universities can be offering master's degrees of the same course title, and yet they can have quite different module makeups. And that's why the title is a good indication as to what you'll study, but you need to look deeper. Don't just think, okay, well, I like these universities and I want to study this subject, so I'll just apply for this course title at these universities. It doesn't quite work like that. You do have to look at the modules, and you can go even deeper. You can click on a module and see how that module is taught and assessed. And what you'll find is that at York, we tend to teach and assess you in a variety of different ways rather than just exam-based. That's especially true for law. If you study the LLB, the undergraduate law degree, it's fully taught through problem-based learning, which is a really new and contemporary way of teaching it. It's very practical, hands-on, and it's representative of how you would be working in industry, which is why we like it. So that's what you would do to find a course. There are entry requirements on here, but they do tend to be the British entry requirements. So it'll say a 2-1, and I'm going to show you what that would be in Turkey in a moment. But the good thing that they do list is the English language requirements. Now, as you can see, there are lots of different English language tests that you can take, and many of these are now online. So the Duolingo one is very affordable. I think it's something like $49 US, so much cheaper than some of the others, and you can take that online. We accept that. So that's been a very popular one from Turkish students. And there's also the fees here, and it does list the international fees. What you'll find is that classroom-based courses like law tend to be a bit cheaper, so £19,000 to £20,000, whereas the lab-based courses, they're more expensive because of the facilities that you're using. I do appreciate, though, that that's still an awful lot of money, and I fully appreciate that the Turkish lira is not performing well against the pound too. So we do have some scholarships, as I've mentioned, and I'll talk about those shortly. That's how you would look for a course on the website. Now, if we're looking at the entry requirements, or for an undergraduate course, we would normally list the A levels that we require on the course page. And at a Russell Group university, we do tend to look for AAA or AAB. We do accept pretty much all high school diplomas from a high school, whether it's the Lise Diplomacy or various other ones. We used to have lists of schools that we accept them from, but we don't use those anymore. So that means that if you apply to York, you won't have to do a foundation first, so long as you get good scores. And where we ask for an AAA, that might look like 82% overall. If we ask for an A in a particular subject, that might be 85% in, say, maths for computer science, right down to 74% with ABB. For postgraduate entry requirements, we'd normally ask for a bachelor's degree in a relevant subject, although not always, with a 2-1 or a 2-2. And that's what they equal in Turkey. A 3.5 out of 4, or 80%, is a 2-1, or a 2-2 is a 2.8 out of 4, or 75%. Most of the postgraduate courses that you apply for will ask for the equivalent of a 2-1, but we have made many offers to people with a 2-2 last year, and we will continue to do so, I think, this year. So if you are coming out with a high 2-2, don't worry, York is still an option for you. A bit about how to apply. So if you're an undergraduate student, you will have to apply through UCAS. We don't accept any applications directly. UCAS is a kind of management system for applications. And what it does is it takes one application from you and it distributes it to up to 5 different universities. And that's why you don't name a particular university in your undergraduate application. You don't want to put the others off. Instead, you might want to just read the module content like I showed you and talk about those, why they interest you, and how they would prepare you for your chosen career. There's a career section on the course pages as well. So you could say, well, this is the job I want to do, and I know that this is the right course to do that. So you would write one application. There are UCAS deadlines to adhere to. So all you need to do is go on to the UCAS website and it will show you the deadlines. The first deadline, I believe, is around the 26th of January. So if you want to start a course in September 2022, get your application in before the end of January and you will be equal as all other applications received. That's how it works. After that deadline, the universities may still accept your application, but they don't have to treat it equal. You don't need your final grades to apply. You apply and we make you a conditional offer based on your current or predicted grades. And then we wait for those grades to come through the following summer. And that's when your offer goes unconditional. Okay, so check out the UCAS website. Have a look at the deadlines and definitely go on YouTube and just search things like UCAS personal statement advice. There's some excellent tips out there that will help you talk about the right things and format your application properly as well. Okay. For postgraduate tour applications, you will make those directly through the course page on the website. So the course pages that I've shown you, there is a big pink button on there and it's apply now. And you'll be taken through a very simple step-by-step process. You don't need all of your documents at the time of applying. You can complete some of it, save it, exit, and come back later with the required documents. But we do always ask for things like a translation of your transcripts. So we can't accept them in Turkish, and that goes for undergraduate as well. For postgraduate applications, we will ask you to list a referee, an academic referee, but we won't always contact them. Because of COVID and people not working in the office anymore and things being slowed down a bit, we stopped actually contacting the referee unless we really needed to. And we would need to if, let's say, you scored below the required score, but we thought your application looked really good and we'd want to find out from an academic, well, how was this student when they were studying with you? Okay, so through the course page on the website, complete all of the steps, and then come back to upload your documents as and when you get them. And that's how it works. So finally, I just want to talk about the scholarships. So as an international student, you can apply for a scholarship at York as soon as you get an offer, but there are two application windows that you need to consider. The first application window opens in January. This is the best one for undergraduate students because it closes in March. We will get back to you shortly after it's closed with an answer, and then you will know whether we're offering you a scholarship by the firm acceptance deadline. So if you don't know what that is, in UCAS, you will be asked to choose your priority university, your firm choice they call it, and an insurance choice. So obviously it's helpful to know whether you've got a scholarship from a university before you make it your firm choice. And that's how you can do that. Apply in the first application window. Undergraduates can apply in either window. It doesn't matter. And postgraduates can apply in either window. But just remember that the first window is best for undergraduates. Personal statement style questions. So that's referring to the questions on the scholarship application form. It somewhat mirrors that personal statement on your UCAS application. We ask you to talk about, any extracurricular activity that you've been involved with prior to university, any work experience that you've got, and we ask you to tell us why you've chosen to study this particular course at the University of York. Now, if you get an offer from the University of York and you do want to apply for the scholarship, I am more than happy to have an appointment with you. You can book this online. I'll show you how at the end. To have an appointment with you and to go through the questions on that scholarship application form with you, not to give you the answers, I can't because the questions are about you, but to help you identify the key points that you should talk about and to just let you know what the university is looking for from you, because that can be quite difficult sometimes. Hopefully that will increase your chances. As I've mentioned before, if you do receive an award, there's 100 to give out of varying amounts. So the top scholarship you could receive as an undergraduate student is £20,000, but we would split that across 3 years. So you'd get 10,000 in the first, 5 in the second and third, but you could also receive a smaller scholarship of like 2.5. And it really does depend on the strength of your application compared to the competition. Same goes for postgraduate, except the maximum amount is £10,000. There's also a British Council scholarship available, I think just for postgraduate students this year. That's on our website. If you just search Great British Scholarships, then you will find information on it. So we've got some for Turkey this year, and that'll be 10,000. Okay. So that brings me towards the end of the presentation, but of course some of you might have questions and I'm more than happy to take those. I just wanted to show you one more thing before we finish, and that's how you can book a meeting with me if you want to talk about your options at York, you want to find out more about how to apply and things like that. So all you need to do is go to the website. So go to the homepage of the website and just search Turkey in the search bar. Okay, and the top link is the one you want, Turkey International Students. On this page, what you'll see is lots of information and an option to book with me. Okay, so if you click this, it will take you to a calendar. Now you can see I've not got many slots available this month, but there are more every month. There's more than one appointment available each day, so I'm available most of the time through these days. And you can just click on one and book an appointment with me. So there's 2 available on that day still. Okay, that's how you can have a one-to-one with me. You can invite your family to it as well if you want to, and I'll be able to give you all the information that I can. The other thing that's really handy to read on this Turkey page is the entry requirements. So if you forget what I've told you today, you can see those on here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and then we're going to take some questions from you.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation, Sam.
You're welcome.
So we have quite a few questions. Do you want me to read them to you?
Yes, please.
All right. Our first question is from Elif Shan, and she's asking, do you have a PhD scholarship in chemistry? And if so, what are the conditions?
Okay, so you can apply for a PhD in chemistry, definitely. But at the moment, right now, we don't have full scholarships available. We do have lots of students from Turkey doing PhDs with us, but they tend to be sponsored by the Ministry of National Education, or MEB. And so they might be the best option to try. It's very difficult to find a full fee scholarship from a UK university. Very difficult. So have a look into the Ministry of National Education scholarships, see if they would accept you based on your grades. And then if they can, if you want to come back to me, I can show you through the PhD web pages and how to apply. Applying for a PhD can often be much more complex than applying for a bachelor's or a master's. It involves writing a research proposal, and it might involve contacting a supervisor prior to applying to check that they're happy with your research proposal as well. So do that, find out about the scholarships first, and then you can book a meeting with me, how I've shown you, and we can talk about it from there. Okay.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mustafa Söylemez, as he's asking, will there be a master's degree in data science for non-computer science undergraduates? For example, I have a BA in economics and want to work in data science.
So most of the computer science courses do require you to have a computer science bachelor's degree, I'm afraid. Usually, any type of technical course like that, a STEM course, would require you to have a bachelor's degree in that subject area, roughly. We do have what we call conversion courses. They are things like management or some social sciences. Conversion courses mean that you don't have to have studied that subject at undergraduate level. You can just go into it at master's level. But I'm afraid for computer science, no. Sorry about that.
All right. Our next question is from Merve Yılmaz, and she's asking, do you suggest homestay or dorms?
It depends what lifestyle you're after, to be honest with you. I would say that, you know, if you're an undergraduate student, I would highly recommend a dorm, at least for your first year. I didn't take a dorm when I went to university, and I did find it harder to get into a group of friends because you make really close friends with the people living in your dorm. And then often in year 2, that group of friends would go on to rent a private house out with each other. And, you know, for the same price that you pay for a dorm, if you all pitch in together, you could get a really nice house and have, you know, the full house to yourselves with your own bedroom. So I would recommend a dorm if you're an undergraduate student for the first year. For a postgraduate student, maybe a little bit different. We tend to have a lot of postgrads either going in dorms or just going into house shares. And there are websites like spareroom.com where you can basically view the people that are living in a house and view the room which is available and the cost of it and things like that. And you can take a room in a shared house. And often you might be living with other students or young professionals. But the homestay one is more if you want that family feel. And I guess it's a gentler introduction to independent life here in the UK.
That's good to know. And another question is, do we need to study foundation year?
Undergraduate students do not need to study a foundation to apply for a bachelor's degree at York. We accept the high school diploma. You would only need a foundation if your grades didn't meet our entry requirements. So basically, in that case, you would have to do an extra year. We have Kaplan as a foundation provider. And depending on your scores and your English language skills, depends on how long that foundation course would be. It's either 2 or 3 terms. But the important thing is that if you do your best at high school, then we will take your average overall score, and then we will just look at specific subjects if we require them. But the high school diploma is enough.
Thank you for the explanation. And next question is from Ece. She is asking, is there a career center? Does the university help or support students to find a job?
Yes, absolutely. And an example of that actually is this summer just gone. I took on a full-time intern within the international office. So did my colleague who recruits from China. They took on a full-time intern too. So they were paid full-time salary. They didn't have to pay any tax because they're a student, and they got some fantastic work experience with us. So, you know, they were meeting and leading meetings with our partner companies all over the world. Online and doing lots of really important research for us. So the level of that work experience that they was getting was fantastic. It looked great on their CV. They both left with excellent references, and they got that because they were students at York. So we have a service called Handshake. Handshake is like a notice board for different job opportunities that come available. If you sign up to Handshake when you arrive here, you'll see all of those job opportunities and you can apply for them. If you feel that you need to develop your skills a bit more, there's a program run by the Careers and Placements Department. It's a very active workshop, very practical. It helps you to identify your key strengths. Rather than trying to strengthen your weaknesses, it helps you to identify your strengths and write about those within a job application form or a CV, that type of thing. Okay, so definitely excellent careers and placement service available at the University of York.
That's really good. And Eda is asking, can we get a conditional acceptance if we cannot meet the language requirements?
Yes, yes. So we don't expect you to have met the language requirements at the time of applying. We just want to see what your predicted academic grades are, or if you've already, finished your course, what your final grades were. Then we'll make you a conditional offer, and then you can follow up with your English language certificate. And at that point, you might decide, well, actually, York has made me an offer, so I'd like to do the Duolingo test because it's inexpensive, and I know that I can get the results fast.
Mm-hmm. And Faiza is asking, is the campus in the city center?
It's on the edge of the city centre, so it's within walking distance depending on where you are on campus. A lot of the city centre universities have the benefit that, of course, they're in a convenient location, but you tend to find that you lose that student village feel. The campus, instead of it being a student village, is buildings spread throughout the city centre. So it depends what your priority is, but I like the student village. I think it's got a really nice feel to it. We're just lucky at York that it's so close to the city centre, because not all university campuses are.
All right, and Merve Aktaş is asking, is there any foundation program at University of York for people who got IELTS 6? If there is, what are the details about that program?
Yeah, definitely. I would encourage you to search York Kaplan. And Kaplan is Kaplan. I'll type it in afterwards. But basically, Kaplan are our foundation provider. And our foundation course is taught on the York campus by York academics, and you are considered a York student whilst you're studying the foundation. It's not always like that. At some universities, you might have to study the foundation elsewhere. So if you apply for a course at York and we say, we're sorry, but your academic grades aren't high enough, we won't just say no to you. We'll say, but you could do the foundation if you wanted. And we'd communicate that to you in an email and would provide you with the necessary links so that you can book the foundation if you wanted to. I believe the cost is, well, it depends on which foundation you have to take, but it's roughly £16,000 to £17,000. But with an IELTS score of 6, you know, that's really good. That would qualify you for the shorter term.
By the way, she's talking about the master's program in the engineering program.
Our pre-masters. Yes, there are pre-masters available too. So when you go onto the York Kaplan website, it will ask you, are you looking for bachelor's degree preparation or master's degree preparation? So you click masters and it will show you all of the foundation courses available, and it will show you which master's programs they lead onto so that you know you're applying for the right one. But anyway, if you were unsure, then you could just book a meeting with somebody who runs the foundation.
Perfect. And our last question is from Elif Bushra. She's asking, how many semesters does the master's degree take to complete?
Well, at the moment, we have 3 terms. So I believe the enrollment is towards the end of September, and then it finishes for Christmas around December. And then there's another one that starts in January until March, I believe, and then April until about June, July time when you start writing up your final thesis. So at the moment, there's 3 terms, but the university is looking at turning that into 2. But I think if you're applying for September 2022 entry, it would still be 3 terms. When you're studying a master's program, though, you know, it's quite full on. And so even on those like holiday breaks where undergraduates might work full time or go home, you are expected to still study. And that's why as a master's student, you can only work up to 20 hours per week, even if it's not term time.
Okay, we have another question. Elif is asking, do ELT students need to take the IELTS exam?
So does that mean if you're coming onto a pre-sessional English course? Is that what she's referring to, do you think?
Maybe.
I'm not quite familiar with exactly what she means by an ELT. But if you apply for a course and we make you an offer, but you don't have the required score, it would be important that you take the IELTS UK VI test. If you want to come and study a pre-sessional English language course in the UK, it needs to be IELTS UK VI. But the good thing is that we now offer those courses online too. So you don't need a UK VI IELTS for that. It could be academic. But yes, pre-sessional courses are available for students who have not met the English language requirement, and they range from 5 to 20 weeks.
All right, thank you for the explanation. That looks like we covered all of the questions. While we wait for new questions to come up, could you please share your email address in the chat box so that the participants can directly contact you?
Absolutely. So I'm going to share my email address first of all. Actually, first, yeah, I'll share my email address, and then I'm going to put another couple of links in that might be useful to people. Okay, there's my email address. I'm now going to share with you how you can book an online meeting with me. And if you try and book a meeting and you think, well, that's not really a convenient time for me, just send me an email and I'll try and fit you in at a time which is convenient for you. But here is the link to book a meeting. Sorry that it's pretty booked up this month. It's just that it's a busy time of year. And finally, I'm going to try and find the York website for you so that you can find information about the foundation courses. Okay, here it is. So this final link is for the foundation courses. There you go.
Yes, thank you very much for the fantastic presentation, Sam.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. University of York ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Sem'in paylaşmış olduğu linklerden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Umarım sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. Yarınki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, Sam. It was a really informative webinar for the attendees, and it was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for coming as well, and hopefully I'll see you in Turkey soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.